Most exercise physiology text author, they mention ATP PC system. Not too many textbook talk about mention is Phosphagen system. But Dr. Gon talk about Phosphagen system. So if they just talk about ATP PC system, they really do not talk about other reaction. But actually, Phosphagen system, there are two more reaction. Does it make sense? So some textbooks said it's like this: three energy systems: ATP system, glycolysis, and oxidative respiration. This terminology is not really correct. So first, we just talk about ATP system, right? Why I do not really agree is called ATP PC system. We can call, right? But however, there are two more reaction you learn so, right? So this is why we had better call Phosphagen system. And another one, this reaction is important because one of the reaction is kind of like a bridge between Phosphagen system as well as glycolysis or glycolytic energy system. Like important is right because human body has three energy systems. So first Phosphagen system resynthesize ATP, and after Phosphagen system is depleted or exercise intensity lower, we need glycolytic energy system. So it's mean there are some kind of signal, is it right? We are almost done, Phosphagen system. So how about glycolytic energy system? You should start like this kind of signal, right? We need a bridge, right? Doesn't make sense. This is the one of the reaction of the Phosphagen system. But many textbooks, they didn't mention. So this is why sometimes our KINS students never really think about this reaction is important. So if your friend or other university just call ATP system, it's not really good, right? So we had a better call the Phosphagen system. It doesn't make sense. And another one, many textbook biology or exercise physiology, they just call glycolysis, glycolysis. But for me, it's not really correct. We had a better call glycolytic energy system. I think you already know. In the blood, we have glucose. But in the muscle, we have glycogen. Is it right? To break down glucose from the blood to the muscle, we call glycolysis. But to break down glycogen in our muscle fiber, we call glycogenolysis. See, wow, there are two reactions. So it means you had better call glycolytic energy system. If we just call glycolysis, you didn't mention glycolytic energy system. This is important, especially for kinesiology and exercise science and exercise physiology. Doesn't make sense. So some textbook, I want to buy this textbook, you had better open the energy system. If they said, they mention ATP PC system, glycolysis, that case, it's not good, right? But they call Phosphagen system, glycolytic energy system. Oh, makes sense, right? Doesn't make sense, doesn't make sense. And the last one is mitochondrial respiration system, but sometimes it's a cellular, right, or oxidative respiration. But this respiration always occur in mitochondria. So we had a better call mitochondrial respiration system. So cellular respiration, that case, cell can respirate? No, only mitochondria. So summary, Phosphagen system, glycolytic energy system, and mitochondrial respiration. This is, I think, is a correct terminology. But many textbooks, ATP system, glycolysis, cellular respiration. That is not really correct, right? So we had a better call Phosphagen system, glycolytic energy system, and mitochondrial respiration system. Right? Today, I would like to complete is the Phosphagen system. I think you already watched. So ATP and creatine kinases couple ATP hydrolysis and creatine phosphate hydrolysis. So it have a creatine kinases reaction. Did you remember? Did you right? But we need two more system, two more reaction. So how about if you read my PowerPoint, I believe it's explained very well, but still always confused because some student didn't take any chemistry class, even high school. See, because our biochemistry is not our prerequisite. It's supposed to be, right? So this is why I try to simplify as much as possible, right? So how about, I think I forgot to do. So, oh yeah, I mean, I want to make diagram. So it's much easier to understand. Doesn't make sense? Doesn't make sense? Yeah. So I think you like it. Right? And it's very related to our exam and quiz also, right? I think it's important. Right? So ATP with water, did you remember? Right? It's become ADP, is right? Inorganic phosphate and proton. Is right? Is right? I had a better write energy release here, but it's for convenience. I put the energy here. So we use this energy. It doesn't make sense, but not all of them. Only 30% of the energy can be for mechanical work, but 70% just heat, right? Doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense. So how about imagine low intense exercise intensity, right? Everything go to the mitochondria and resynthesize ATP, and we can use. Simple is right. But however, high exercise intensity. How about Wingate muscular power test? Wingate muscular power test mean it's kind of like all out bike exercise, put some kind of resistance based on our body mass. For men, 8.5% of body mass. For women, 7.5 body mass. And exercise until to failure for 30 seconds. It is not easy. It's very, very tough. So it will be our lab portion. So how about 30-second all-out exercise or 1 minute all-out exercise, all-out running, like that kind of thing? Yeah, doesn't make sense. Like that kind of exercise, not low exercise intensity. So some of them go to the mitochondria, but most of them is accumulating. Doesn't make sense? Doesn't make sense? Is accumulating. Right? That case, how can we resynthesize ATP? Our what is it? ATP's role, right? Did you remember? Human body want to maintain ATP's concentration. So our energy system, their major goal, their eternal goal is resynthesize ATP. Doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense. Yeah. So this case, how intense exercise? High intense exercise, right? So which one can be substrate to resynthesize ATP? Do you understand what I mean? Right. So how about here? So I think I forgot to put the enzyme name. So actually this is ATPase, right? So after breakdown during high exercise intensity, yeah, we have creatine phosphate. Does it make sense? With this ATP, and did you remember another subject? Any student, did you remember? Why creatine kinase reaction important? It release ATP as fast as we can. At the same time, it can buffer our proton. Why and how? Because it can be our substrate part. So this proton is become substrate part. This creatine kinase reaction. Oh my goodness, how beautiful, right? How beautiful, right? So ADP, creatine phosphate, proton. If you couldn't understand, please go to the creatine kinase reaction. Right? Please watch that video again, right? This one becomes substrate and it's become creatine and ATP. Does it make sense? Doesn't make sense? Doesn't make sense? So we can resynthesize ATP. Does it make sense? During high intense exercise, 100 dash, 200 meter dash, 400 dash. Does it make sense? Creatine phosphate is important. So it's like this, and the name is creatine kinases. And how about class? If this spelling is too small to watch, I posted my PowerPoint, so you can use my PowerPoint as a reference. It doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense. And any question, please go to our Q&A discussion section, so you can put the answer there. You can send email to me, but if you put the question to there, it should really help to the other student too, right? Well, some student can answer too, right? So ATP hydrolysis and creatine kinase reaction. It doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense. This is really good, but problem is this creatine phosphate is concentration is very limited. This makes sense. It's very limited, right? So in the textbook said, right, 10 to 15 seconds. After 10 to 15 seconds, no more creatine phosphate. So this reaction is nullify, right? Yeah, not anymore, not anymore. So after 10 to 15 seconds, no more creatine phosphate. So we cannot use this metabolic pathway. How about class? Does it make sense? Does it make sense? Yeah. And 10 to 15 seconds is actually, if you are really trained, 10 to 15 seconds. If you are not trained, maybe less than 10 seconds, less than 5 seconds, it doesn't make sense. So if you want to train like that kind of exercise, high exercise intensity, sprint, right? Or if you have an athlete, your friend, or if you become trainer, right? So train them as a sprinter, you must understand this concept. Doesn't make sense. That kind of person, right, need like a ATP resynthesis very high rate, is right. So how can improve this person's like a sprint less than around 10 to 15 seconds mean you must focus how to increase this creatine phosphate concentration. Doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense. Like this kind of approaching, right? Without biochemistry, you cannot approach like this. Doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense. Without this kind of like approach, you just use your experience. I think it works. It's like I think I ate some kind of food, right? Like that kind of like not really knowledge, just experience. Just is very low level. Doesn't make sense. You must understand this, yeah, this chemical reaction. Right? So this reaction is good, but after 10 to 15 seconds, no more creatine phosphate. So we have a problem. But how about this person keep exercise, or keep bike, or keep exercise, high exercise intensity? This case, no more creatine phosphate is available. That case, ADP and inorganic phosphate and proton keep increase, is right. Keep increase, is right. Doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense. At that time, very smart enzyme. So using 2 ADP, but we want ATP, right? ATP is 3-phosphate. 2 ADP means 4-phosphate, right? Oh my God, how smart. The enzyme name is adenylate kinases, or sometimes called myokinases. If this is too small, you can see my PowerPoint, right? This enzyme using 2 ADP and combine together and make 1 AMP and 1 ATP. It's smart, is right? It's smart. Right? So we reuse this ATP. Does it make sense? It makes sense. And another one, did you remember? Some other textbook authors just ATP system, but Dr. Gon is argued, no, had better call the Phosphagen system. Why? Because this reaction. So this adenylate kinase reaction is a part of the Phosphagen system, but this is important. This is important. Right? So how about class? Please watch here. This AMP is important. At the same time, it should be get rid of. What does it mean? Please watch here. So how about first get rid of? Why? Why? See, did you remember mass action effect? Mass action effect. High concentration to go to less concentration, smaller concentration is right. This reaction. Right? So how about this reaction should go this way to resynthesize more ATP, is right. But if this AMP is accumulated, so product is increased, we cannot go this direction, is right. See, this is right. So based on mass action effect, AMP should be get rid of, but this AMP is important to activate glycolytic energy system. So it means first produce AMP and activate glycolytic energy system, and it should be get rid of. Does it make sense? Does it make sense? So how about activation first? So earlier of this lecture, did you remember I mentioned about Phosphagen system and glycolysis or glycolytic energy system? I think I mentioned glycolytic energy system is right, not glycolysis, because two reaction, two metabolic pathway. So glycolytic energy system is important. Yeah. And why I call, oh, you couldn't see it, right? Glycolytic energy system. You cannot see it, right? Glycolytic energy system, right? Is one is glycogenolysis, mean break down glycogen. And another one is glycolysis. This is the main metabolic pathway, break down glucose, is right. This AMP is activate glycogenolysis as well as glycolysis. Wow, that is bridge, right? That is important energy, important reaction. It sounds right, is it right? But many textbooks didn't mention this reaction. It's not good, is it right? See, you run very well. Yeah. So this AMP activate two two reaction, actually two metabolic pathway. That is glycolytic energy system. So when we finish this energy system, right, not anymore, but this energy system is already activated. How important? How important is right? However, this AMP should be get rid of. Actually, there are phosphorylation potential. Phosphorylation potential. You can see my PowerPoint. Phosphorylation potential means this is ratio. ATP concentration divided by ATP, ADP, and AMP. Right? So this is ratio. If this ratio is high, it's good to resynthesize ATP. But if this ratio lower, it's not good to resynthesize ATP. But how about this AMP? Is here, is it right? It's here. Yeah, it's here. So if this AMP is increased, this ratio decreased, right? So this is another explanation why AMP should be get rid of. But first, activate glycolytic energy system, and later it should be get rid of. So this is our last reaction. So to get rid of AMP, we need water. Oh my goodness, again, how water is important. So if a younger brother, younger sister, you are kinesiology major, I need exercise. Which kind of supplements do you recommend for me? You should say water, right? That is right. You need to be hydrated. Doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense. Right? So simply, if you go to the restroom and pee, if your color is darker, it means you are dehydrated. Doesn't make sense. So you should drink water and you can exercise. Doesn't make sense. But anyway, you should be hydrated because water is so important. Is right? Is right. So to get rid of AMP, we need water, and actually we need one more thing. One more thing. That is another important thing, right? See, high exercise intensity. What is the most important thing, right? See, I think it's a critical thing, like a dangerous thing, right? So this proton, did you remember? This proton is accumulated, pH decrease, you have a metabolic acidosis, right? You will be sick, right? Throw up, right? Doesn't make sense. But it's interestingly, when get rid of AMP, the substrate part is water as well as, oh my goodness, this proton is here. It makes sense. How important, how important. I couldn't understand some some undergraduate level exercise physical textbook, they didn't put this one. Sometimes they didn't put the water. So this is why their chemical reaction is not really reaction, it's kind of just structure, right? Structure. So AMP, water and proton, right? And become IMP, and another one is ammonia. And this reaction name is because AMP, it releases ammonia, so AMP deaminases, right? So this is enzyme name. If this is too small, please watch my PowerPoint, right? So AMP is important. After activated with water, with the proton is here, right? And become IMP and ammonia. It doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense. That's it. So there are some interesting things here. As first, if you really work hard, really exercise hard, it smells like ammonia, is it right? It's not because you didn't wash or you are dirty. No. Just Phosphagen system last product is ammonia. Doesn't make sense. If you do not exercise that hard, your body doesn't need ammonia, right? Doesn't make sense. It means, oh, you exercise hard, right? Is right. And another one, this proton is right. This proton, right? So how about class? After 10 to 15 seconds, right? If you keep exercise, your energy and metabolic pathway go to this way is right. But if you stop exercise, that case, stop exercise, no more proton is right. This case, it doesn't have any proton here, is right. So AMP doesn't need to go to be IMP and ammonia. Right? Doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense because this proton is substrate part. Right? It makes sense. It makes sense. There are very important things, but I believe Dr. Gon is beautifully explained using this diagram. You can see this diagram any other textbook. So how about just summary, right? So ATP is important, but our human body just do not increase the concentration of ATP. The concentration of ATP is right. The concentration of ATP, yeah, the amount of ATP do not want to increase. So our energy system, right, just how to resynthesize. That is their kind of a goal, right? Does it make sense? So there are three energy systems: Phosphagen energy system, Glycolytic energy system, Mitochondrial response system. Today I talk about all mitochondrial response system, right? I'm sorry, Phosphagen system, right? So ATP hydrolysis, first, creatine kinase reaction. After 10 to 15 seconds, adenylate kinase reaction, and AMP activate glycolytic energy system. And after that, it should be carried up. So AMP deamination reaction system, right? So AMP and water and proton become IMP and ammonia. That's it, right? This is the Phosphagen system. How about after this one? This glycolytic energy system is already activated, right? So we can use this energy system. Right? Doesn't make sense. And after this one, mitochondria, right? Mitochondrial response system is really activated and release a lot of resynthesize ATP is the best rate at that time. Not right now, right? Doesn't make sense. This is a Phosphagen system. Any question, please go to the question and answer. It's discussion section. You can put there. You can send email to me. Thank you.